Harry, I'll come to you with this question we had, which is just like how easy is it actually to check whether someone's a sanctioned entity or check for a sanctioned entity?
I mean, I think in regards to screening and the different screening that if you were thinking about with your AML hat on, the different screening that you would do, I think sanctions is probably one of the easiest and actually it's one of the richest for information because the government are essentially for all the things we just talked about, the government are really behind it and they really don't want breaches. So actually the records for sanctions generally tend to be fairly rich in data. They tend to be fairly comprehensive where possible with name, date of birth, nationality. Actually, you'll often see passport numbers, identity numbers, last known addresses or locations. So they try as much as possible within their power to give you lots of information. So if you're searching the list, the information that you should be seeing should be rich. And that's all because they don't want to breach it. Like they're really behind, like when they've put a sanction in place, they're really behind it. And it's usually come from a place of really thought out. It's actually like super important and critical for the government that they want to make a stance. And so actually from our perspective, from a screening perspective, I would say it's relatively easy to do in comparison to other screening that you may have had experience of with under AML, which is a little bit wider and often not quite as full or rich because of the source that it comes from. But because these stem from government, often you'll have aliases, different passport numbers, different years of birth, and so they're really trying to set you up for success, I would say, in being able to work with the information. So that's that. I think from a positive point of view, actually, sanctions for me, when you find one and you get a match, it's not necessarily the easiest process to work through, and that takes a lot. But actually, for those like potentially possible matches where you're trying to rule them in or rule them out, actually, you often come from a fairly solid place, I would say. I don't know whether Gita would agree from a practical perspective of actually doing it in the day job, but that'd be my take.
Absolutely, Harry. I couldn't agree more with this. Sanctions to me is a bit like black and white, isn't it? This is on a list and this is what it is. It's just probably ruling positive matches. And, when you have, let's say, possible match, but you're not sure, so probably analyzing that data, that's what could be quite difficult for any agent or any AML professional, to be honest. But it is quite straightforward, black and white. Either you go on a government oversight website and you just search the list, or you use electronic systems to help you, whichever it would be.